This is RuggaMatrix International, the world's leading independent rugby podcast, quoted more than anyone else. It's no wonder that our major partner is Strike, Australia's leading provider of Bluetooth car kits, so you can stay safe in your car and avoid hefty fines. So go hands-free with Strike. Enter the code RuggaMatrix and you'll get 10% off. Go to strike.com.au to get your discount. RuggaMatrix also brought to you by mybean.com.au. We sell at roasters prices. Let's get it on. Hello and welcome to RuggaMatrix International, episode 191, Flower Power. The reason it's Flower Power this week is because the mighty Waratahs are dominating everything in Super Rugby and always dominating in his, world of new media control. Mark Cabanabar, Pinky, Cash Cow Cashman.
Flower Power Bronco, how appropriate, brought to you by people who were conceived in the Flower Power era.
Exactly. So, Mark Cashman, plenty to talk about in RuggaMatrix International this week, and most of it's about Super Rugby, but off the top, some developing news at Ulster. And there's been a big clean out there at Ulster, which means that Les Kiss, the Ireland's assistant coach and massive RuggaMatrix contribution expert, is now going to be the director of rugby, and he'll do two roles. Continue his role with Ireland Rugby and be director of rugby for Ulster. So a bit of drama there. You've been to the great ground itself, and it's obviously caused a bit of commotion over there amongst the Ulster supporters. But, Les Kiss, if he has to step in for the time being, no better man for the job.
It is actually a province, Bronc, that has come on in leaps and bounds in recent times. They've done major renovations at Ravenhill, and it was pretty 1960s there when I visited there in probably 3 or 4 years ago to see Ulster, which was being coached by Matt Williams, take on Stud Francais, which was coached at that stage by the great Ewan McKenzie. So interesting day with a couple of Aussies there, but. It's a good challenge for Les, and I think he's obviously going to make a great fist of it. There's plenty of talent there, and they obviously want to, for Ireland's sake, for the national team's sake, to actually maximise the use of the talent up there.
Yes, that's right, Casho. Les Kiss was actually due to be on our show this week, but this morning, very early this morning, I got a text at 2:30 a.m. He said that things have been happening, so obviously it developed quickly in Ulster, and he had to move. So we'll be catching up with him very soon, hopefully next week, so he can fill us in on what the details will be moving forward into the competitions that they'll be involved in next season. So well done, Les, and just adding another one to his plate, but I'm sure he can handle it. Good man for the job.
I think Bronc, it is the next phase in his career to actually take on a director of rugby's role. He was always ambitious to do a head coaching role, and I think this will be very educational, very career inspiring for him, and I think it's going to make him a better coach. Not that he's not a too bad one now.
Well, he's had experience too as head coach in the changeover for Ireland just recently, so Les has had that experience, and he's had a chance to do attack and defence, so he's done it all pretty much, Les Kiss. So we'll hopefully find more out from Les next week. So that's the breaking news as we record today. So as we mentioned, it's Flower Power because the Waratahs, they're all conquering so far. They are on top of the Super Rugby ladder, the log, or whatever you want to call it, the table. They're on the top of the heap, and that's a good thing to be. And that was after a thrashing of the severely weakened Brumbies outfit last weekend. Casho, I don't think the Brumbies were much chance with 10 players out, but the Waratahs did the job. There's some exciting moments there at ANZ Stadium, but I think overall they weren't really pushed too hard.
Probably the first 30 minutes, the Brumbies did have a real good go at them. The Brumbies game, as you know, Bronc, is to spoil the breakdown, to spoil other teams' momentum, play for field position, then strike from there. It's a very good formula. It's obviously worked for Jake White, and it's working to a certain extent for Stephen Larkham and good old Lord Laurie. But The Tars of 2014, though, they're keeping their cool. They're keeping to the script that Michael Checker has given them. They're continuing to play football, and that's what's happened. They're going to run oversides in the last 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. They've got some big boppers there. They've got some real good weapons out wide, and listen, it could be their year. Who knows?
Well, that's right, and don't forget the Brumbies have to deal with the other issue that Laurie Fisher is moving on to Gloucester in the UK. That was, a bit of surprise when it broke, but I think Laurie was going to be heading back overseas at some point.
I think Stephen Larkham was the anointed one, Bronk, wasn't he? And I think Laurie was always going to head overseas and do another job at another time. I think he even foreshadowed this to the Brumbies organisation 18 months ago when Jake White came in. So listen, he's done a fantastic job there. I'm sure he's going to do a great job there at Gloucester in the West Country. It's a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, it is, certainly. So we wish him all the best, but some difficult times at the moment for the Brumbies. Let's see how they go through, but Stephen Larkham will carry the can. There won't be any replacement for Laurie Fisher. They'll have to make do with the coaching staff that they have. So we trundled down to Waratahs training on Monday morning to see what the wash-up was from that really good victory at the weekend. And we might start with one of the key players for not only the Waratahs but Australia in the French series, and that is the fly half, Bernard Foley. He spoke to Mark Cashman.
What's going to be the key to playing the Highlanders? Is it making sure that the ball to Aaron Smith is scrappy? What's going to be the key?
Yeah, it's definitely pressuring them, across the field. You can't let Aaron Smith get quick ruck speed and that ball sort of on a plate. You can't turn over balls to these blokes because their counter attack is just so dangerous, and they can hurt you from anywhere with the likes of, Ben Smith.
On Saturday night, a loafer's second try, it seemed as though it was a conscious call, or were you just playing what's in front of you?
No, that was a set move, so we'd sort of planned that. But it's always good when they come off those set moves, because often they don't, or you get shut down, or something happens. So when the ones you planned come off, it's probably extra special. And he did really well, Kirtley and Izzy as well.
That win on the weekend, does that sort of pepped a lot of you guys up? I know like 11 Wallabies were involved in that last test from the Waratahs. Is there spring in the step? You feel the momentum still there?
Yeah, I think there's definitely momentum there. I think when you get to play together as a Waratahs or Wallabies, it's always enjoyable, and I think guys just really wanted to make sure that when we came back from the Wallaby camp and that setup, that you don't drop your intensity or your preparation, and you don't have a lull. And I think coming back into this environment last week, everyone was so excited to get back together and as a group, and looking forward to the next couple of weeks.
Going into the game, there was a bit of motivation out of a tweet from an S&C coach from down in Canberra. How did Check use that to rev you guys up?
He's always good at finding all the smallest sort of motivations and using it. And I think for us, we do pride ourselves on working hard and trying to really put in a performance every week that shows that. And I think he sort of just reminded us that maybe that night it didn't happen, or they thought we didn't work hard enough. So it's definitely for that game was a bit of a mantelpiece, something to take back. And I think going forward, that's something we've got to pride ourselves on.
So Mark Cashman there with Bernard Foley, with other members of the Sydney press on Monday, with I guess a pretty exciting stage for New South Wales rugby, that they are on top of the table on 48 points. The Sharks are 45, so 3 points behind. It's in their hands, basically.
It very much is, Bronk. I think if they can beat the Highlanders this coming weekend, and then they travel to Brisbane to take on the Reds, first place certainly isn't out of the question. They said at the start of the year they wanted to finish 1-2, but one of the things that came out of that chat with Bernard Foley and the other guys that we spoke to is the enthusiasm to finish the job is there. Obviously, the undertone, I think, from here on in will be about doing it a bit for Deno, but doing it for themselves. The enthusiasm's there.
Absolutely, and one of those players who's very enthusiastic is the Tamworth boy himself, the front rower, Paddy Ryan. He was pretty happy to talk about all things heading into the last home game of the season, and he also spoke to Mark Cashman about Dave Dennis as well.
I think Deno will play a role for the rest of the season, though, Paddy, won't he?
Yeah, it'd be a huge role. He organises our line out, so that'll be one thing he'll have to do with Stephen Hoyles and Mitch Chapman. And obviously, he's such a big part of our community, and was before he was captain. So he'll have a huge role to play. And defining that at the moment isn't my responsibility, but I'm sure between him and Check and Hoops and Swoopy and the rest of the coaching staff, they'll be all over sorting that out.
Paddy, you mentioned line-out calling before. That's a pretty important part, and good to see Mitchell Chapman back on the field just recently. And obviously, Hoyles, he's going to play a major role in that.
Yeah. I mean, I worry more about the scrum, the line-outs. I've just got a lift in the line-out, so I'll let the boys sort that out. You know, I've got a few options there. Kane Douglas, obviously very experienced second rower as well. So, and Jacques Poquetas played under Victor Matfield. So there's lots of guys who know a lot about the line-out. They'll sort that out with the help of Dave. And yeah, that'll be fine. I mean, Halsey called him in the Reds match, which we had good ball from and got 4 tries. So you know, it's not a massive area of concern at the moment. We'll just have to make sure we're really diligent about working on it.
The Highlanders are very effective at the breakdown. That's obviously going to be an area of focus this week.
Yeah, we haven't had any meetings yet, so I don't know what Nathan Gray and Daryl Gibson have got in store for us. I think all New Zealand teams are good over the ball and play with good width, so I know we can expect that at the very least. But yeah, look, it's going to be a tough game, but it's going to be awesome because it's Sunday Arvo footy, last home round of the year. The boys are pumped. They will be pumped, you know. We've got a lot to play for, even more so now that we're carrying the weight of Deno on our shoulders as well. So it's going to be an awesome weekend. I hope everyone gets down there for it. It'd be great to see the SFS packed out.
Paddy Ryan, he was quite a character on the day, and when I mentioned I was an Inverell boy, he knew the Highlanders straight away, so I thought he was shaking in his boots.
Hello? No, Brock, listen, one of the things he did say was about the importance of have someone in there that's calling the lineouts for the Waratahs, and he's nominated there Stephen Hoyles, who's a friend of RuggaMatrix, and another guy, Mitch Chapman, who's just back on the field. So the timing in those things is very good. I get the feeling Stephen Hoyles will get first crack at it, and he's playing pretty well, Hoylesy.
He is. He's doing a great job, and if you haven't had a chance to see it, check out the Stephen Hoyles Total Rugby story that Casho and I shot for that crew over there, and it's a great story about his comeback from a horrendous injury that he just couldn't overcome. And if you don't forget, he actually spoke on this program well before that about heading overseas to fix it up. But this conference is unbelievably tight so far. The Brumbies aren't out of it yet because of the unbelievable upset that we saw. Not an upset, but a fantastic performance by the Blues against the Force. Absolutely towed them up. So the Force will be pretty concerned about that.
Yeah, Bronk, if you look at the table, any team from 1 to 9 can make this top 6. I think probably at this stage the only team that would be lucky to get there outside that is the Bulls, who are sitting in 10th position. But that New Zealand conference is just absolutely it's a real traffic jam, isn't it? It's M4 at 6 o'clock at night, really, isn't it?
Crusaders 42, Highlanders 42, Hurricanes 41, and then it's Blues and Chiefs on 36. I mean, they're all there. They're all in it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So that's a pretty tight end of the season. And I think what it shows is that something that we all know, that New Zealand rugby is probably the best rugby to watch, yeah?
Well, it's got class, it's got depth, and people just keep on coming through. And that's because of the the structures they have in place. They have also the ITM Cup. Their schoolboy comps are very good. They consistently perform well at the underage levels, and rugby's a religion over there.
So what it means, though, the Waratahs will have to face... after this weekend's game, they'll have to travel to Queensland to play the Reds.
Yeah, that's interesting, Bronk, isn't it? The Reds sort of hit back, I think, last week. A lot of people thought that their season was very dead in the water, and that perhaps even it was time to move on from the coaching structure that they have there. But listen, a win's a win, and it turns a season around pretty quick.
Certainly does, but a lot of the questions being asked about the Reds before that fantastic performance, is James O'Connor going to be signed? Well, another big story for one of the great writing gurus in rugby, Jim Tucker, really ramped it up this week. This, courtesy of the Reds media unit, was the response by Richard Graham, the Reds head coach, to speculation that James O'Connor was about to sign with the Reds.
Yeah, it was good of Jimmy Tucker to break that story this morning. You know, there's only one piece missing, isn't it? And that's confirmation from the Queensland Reds. So, yeah, at this point, yeah, all that's still speculation, and Jimmy can keep writing it if he wishes to. Yeah, mate. The one thing I think detail doesn't necessarily make it truth. It can still be speculation. Anyone can put something in the paper there, but. You know, I've said it before, he's a good footballer. There's no doubt about that. He's displayed that in Australia, overseas, wherever. We understand the quality of footballer he is. In terms of recruitment ourselves, we've been really disciplined. Jim Carmichael's got a very strong strategy that we have remained disciplined to as an organisation. And when Jim feels it's right, he'll reveal that. Yeah, on the back of one game, you know, don't change my opinion. Obviously, yeah, I put some thought into this, and this has been going on now for the last 12 months. So, yeah, we're disappointed to lose people. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But you make decisions based on what you think's best for the organisation going forward, and all the decisions that have been made, I believe, are in the best interests of the organisation.
Yeah, Bronk, that's interesting words from Richard. Obviously, a lot of discipline in and around the recruitment there, but you did notice Eddie Jones did take a bit of a backhander at young James, saying that he doesn't think that he's exactly what the Reds need. He thinks they need someone in the middle of the field with a bit of size.
Well, there you go.
Maybe Marnonu.
Maybe. And I believe firmly that James O'Connor is a winger or fullback, but he's not. Shouldn't be in the middle. I just think to get the bet, he's brilliantly gifted, talented player, but I believe he's at his most dangerous as a winger. So,
yeah, that's pretty well right. And yeah. I think we saw in the Lions series last year that he's not a full-time 5'8".
No, don't go over that.
Or should I say fly half?
Yeah, let's not go over that again. That's still frustrates me, that selection. So, but he's a good player, and he's been doing well over in the UK, and maybe he could be a good solution for the Reds somewhere else there, particularly when they had injuries like Quade Cooper's injuries this year to deal with. So all that sort of happening there for the Reds, but let's hear from Beau Robinson now, and on the fact that they actually put it together for the first time in a long time when they demolished the Rebels last weekend.
Yeah, definitely. You know, life just seems to go a bit better when you're winning, sort of thing, and the momentum's a wonderful thing. So if we can keep that going and hopefully take that in this weekend, we should go all right. I don't know. Well, would I? If I knew, I'd be a bloody smart man, wouldn't I? It was just clicking. The boys were, you know, excited. Having the 3 weeks off, you know, probably freshened us up a bit, and we just came back and we were really excited to play with each other again.
So there he is, Binsey, or Beau Robinson, just calling it as it is. I guess they didn't really know what happened to the weekend, but they did turn it on against the Rebels.
Interesting what Beau was saying in that you know, it's just one of those things where for no particular reason you're not sure why things click, and that obviously happened on down in Melbourne for the Queensland Reds. So good to see they're back on the horse again, because, you know, we want the Australian Conference to be as tight and combative as the one over across the Tasman, don't we, Bron?
Yeah, we certainly do. So that's what's happened in Super Rugby. So we've got some really big games this weekend. The unfortunate thing for the Brumbies is that they've got a bye, so they will stand still and could easily be overrun by the other teams in that number 6 cut-off zone. But the Waratahs, you know, they've got it pretty much locked away at 48 points. It's whether they can continue. I think one of the big reasons is they're showing great hunger and chasing the play. The defence is good, but one of the really big factors is Wycliffe Palu. He's trimmed down, he's running well. We mentioned it that he's been able to carry a good size on him this year, and playing 80 minutes last weekend, he was pretty knackered. But, you know, I think he's a great reason why not only the Waratahs did well, and we've always played well. Australia has played well. I'll try and avoid it. Australia's played well when guys at the back are playing their part, and I mean big number 8s and good number 8s, and Australia's had a great history of them, and Wycliffe Palu is certainly in good form for the Wallabies and the Waratahs.
Yeah, Cliffy has that presence on a rugby field, and he does inspire the people around him. Every run that he made, and I think I noticed during the call on Fox Sports at one stage there was 10 or 15 minutes to go, and Cliffy had done 16 ball carries and something like 8 tackles. So that says something about his mindset, about his fitness, about where he is, and I just hope his body stays together, and he can have a stellar end to this season.
Certainly, hopefully he does, Cash Cow, certainly do. Today's over-the-shoulder image, brought to you by RuggaMatrix, which is my image company. The great Tatafu Pilota now throwing the line-out ball in a couple of seasons ago, and I think it was 2012 actually. And they certainly moved along a fair bit, and the hair's got big, it's got small, it's got big. It's small again, isn't it?
It's been braided. It's been everywhere, man, as they say.
So he's been doing well, and I always think Tatafu plays better when he starts the game because he really works his way into the match, doesn't he?
Yeah, and his set piece work on the weekend against the Brumbies was particularly good. He threw well. It was a difficult night out there. It was cold. It was windy out at Homebush, and his scrum was particularly good. The scrums went one way and another. The Brumbies obviously have a very sort of good front row, but he was the consistent player in that front row there, and good to see him playing well. Hope he finishes off the year well.
All right. So as we say for the show, flower power. The Waratah is definitely blooming at the moment, so they are on fire. But some tests to go, as we say, every single year, Cash Cow. It's not decided till the last game of the final round, and I'm sure that's going to happen, especially when you see that log jam there around the number 6 position. But don't forget, leading the other conferences, the Crusaders just by the skin of their teeth, didn't help with their upset loss last weekend, and of course the Sharks leading the way in South Africa. A bit more of a gap over there. The South African conference is vastly different to the other two, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. The Sharks way ahead, and the Bulls there sitting on second position on sort of 33. So I don't know what role anybody beyond the Sharks is going to play come finals time, but funny things have happened. And as one of the mantras of Ewan McKenzie in his time as a Super Rugby coach was, listen, we're not going to know what's going to happen until the final minute of the final game, which is generally in South Africa.
Yeah, that's the case. And the Lions and the Cheetahs languishing at the bottom of the Super Rugby table. The Reds could have been a better year, but unfortunately they left their run really late. But injuries haven't helped them at all. But you got to get through the year with injuries. That's the way it is. All right, Cash Cow, that is it for the program. Nothing left to plug for your business.
No, Bronk, not at this stage, but my North Harbour Rays, my Macquarie University North Harbour Rays are ticking on very nicely. We'll have our first training run this week at Manly Oval, so the development squad comes together. It's the first step of a great journey, let's hope.
All right. Cash Cow, thanks for coming in.
No worries, Bronk.
There is Mark Cashman coming in for a quickfire 191 episode of RuggaMatrix Flower Power. I hope you enjoy the show. Like I said, looking forward to catching up with Les Kiss, hopefully next week, before he heads back home to Ireland and gets stuck into Ulster, and of course the Ireland team after that. Quick mention too, congratulations to South Africa. Successful mid-season test series, and they ended it with a pulsating victory over Scotland. Absolutely hammered them, and so they've scored a few tries and had a couple of tight episodes as well, and I think that will put them in good stead for heading into the Rugby Championship, which we look forward to seeing in August. All right, so that is for the show. We will see you next week on RuggaMatrix International.